Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda, Vijaya Pandit in Italy. All glories to the members of the Prabhupada Disciples Association who assemble in a prompt, regular manner every week, 3 times a week on Wednesdays, Saturdays, and Sundays for the hearing of these literatures, unadulterated literatures, unchanged literatures by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, our guru teacher, who's taught us how to use time properly. Because time is constantly marching, as you can feel and see, although many people may not be aware of time, or they're oblivious to the movement of time because of their absorption in their own material minds. That's what it is. They're captured by the spell of I, me, and mine. That I will live on. Everyone else is dying, but I won't. So Prabhupada taught us this simple principle of the proper utilization of time, both by rising and setting every day. As you can see here in Hamilton, the sun is out now. It's very cold. Every day, the sun comes and it goes very quickly. And time marches on. And basically, if we don't practice devotional service, if we don't utilize our time and our life's energy in Krishna service, we're wasting our time. Actually, it's said in the Bhagavatam, except those, both by rising and setting of the sun, it decreases the duration of life of everyone except those who are engaged in the loving service of the Lord and the spiritual master. I'm paraphrasing, but this is the essence of it. So someone could say, well, how important is this? Well, think about the Goswamis, Yashoda Nanda Prabhu, how they, like all of us, we may think, oh, well, I've had such a big life. I've made millions of dollars in my time, and I've become popular, and lots of people know me. Well, was there any difference with the 6 Goswamis? No. Sanatana and Rupa Goswami were huge, materialistically successful people. They weren't just ordinary people. They were helping run one of the largest provinces in India, or states. And then all of a sudden they realized this is all a waste of time, especially when they met Lord Chaitanya. And then what happened was they eventually ended up in Vrindavan, India. They would sleep under a different tree every night. They renounced the material world. They understood this material world is not our home. So this is the principle of devotional service that Prabhupada taught us by his own example. It wasn't, he was preaching by precept, telling people, oh, don't do this, don't do that. And remember, he took sannyas, I believe it was in 1954, after a long life in the Grihastha ashram. He had many children, and he ran a business, and he was a very successful person. But all of a sudden, he decided it's time for me to follow the orders of my spiritual master and follow the philosophy given by the directions given by his guru's teachings found in the Vedic literature and take sannyas and renounce everything. And he just got on a boat with no money, with no friends, no support from anyone except a few people who weren't really devoted to the Gaudiya Math mission, and managed to get a ticket to come to America here and Canada and start the preaching work. Perfect renunciation, perfect use of time. So this is an example, Vijaya Pandit, of Prabhupada's ability to teach all of us how to live our lives. And we're going to go to his diaries. Here we are. The beginning. Oh, yes. Very, very educational. Someone would say, well, why are you reading this? It's just showing how he managed money and how he, coordinated his time during the day to spread Krishna consciousness when he had nothing. Well, here we have an insight into how a great man, whatever great men do, common men should follow whatever standards they set by exemplary acts the whole world pursues. This is not just things to memorize. People memorize. They think, oh, I'm so smart, I memorize things. No, it's not about memorization here. It's about putting into application what this philosophy translates into in your use of time. So this is a letter that Prabhupada sent to Bon Maharaj, and I've mentioned this many times, and I'm very blessed to have had Bon Maharaj's personal association on multiple occasions. It was educational, that's all I'm going to say, and we'll discuss it at a separate time. Very educational. And it was an education from Prabhupada for me and all of us as his disciples. Institute of Oriental Philosophy, Vrindavan, UP, India, the 14th of January, 1966. And I know you can see that building on the road there across. It was in the back. It was quite far back. There was a lane there. And they had built some kind of a building there, which was Bon's building. So Prabhupada's reaching out to him to help him. Why not? He had no friends, no support from, just like the ISKCON group. They don't support us, that's for sure. My dear Swami Maharaj, please accept my dandavats. I'm glad to receive your letter of January 7th, 1966. No previous letter from you was received here. I'm glad to know that you are doing very well there. You are at the 72nd Street, Swami Radhananda Ji. Oh, yeah, this is from Bon Maharaj to Prabhupada. I'm glad to know that you are doing very well. You are at the 72nd Street, Swami Bodhananda Ji Maharaj, direct disciple of Swami Vivekananda. Oh my God. Started his ashram at the 72nd Street, and Swami Nikalananda Ji Maharaj has his center at the 94th Street. I used to live at 650 West, so he had tried too. 116th Street off the Hudson. Your letter takes me back to the memories of my stay in New York. I'm very happy to know you are starting a temple of Sri Sri Radha Krishna in New York, and that you have already found a house for it. I knew that you would receive grand support there. As regards your desire to install the deities, is very heavy responsibility to continue the worship in the future. Anyway, you can decide for yourself. I had been to the shops for the deities of Radha and Krishna, each 24-inch, and making them will cost you rupees 1450 for both. The 3 sets of costumes, etc., will cost about rupees 350. The packing and freighting charges will be extra. When the orders will be placed for the deities, it will require 2.5. I can't really see that, to get them ready. Maybe payments on hearing from you and on receipt of money, orders may be placed for making the 2 deities. Here in India, the nation is in deep mourning of the unexpected death of the Prime Minister. The next Prime Minister will be elected during the next week. At the Institute, we're having both BA and MA classes. It is hoped the incomplete buildings will be completed by June next. Yeah, those were the buildings that we saw. We're also having negotiations for starting an Institute of Indiology. It may be possible to come to a final decision by the end of February. The first volume of my English translation of Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is just out. I had a copy, by the way, everyone. It was a blue one. We have put the price at rupees 32 or $8 per copy. Should we receive any orders from the USA, we should be able to send it by airmail or sea mail. Yours affectionately, Bon Maharaj, to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. We're reading that because we get an insight where his godbrothers were at, what they were up to, and how Prabhupada was innocently pursuing his mission in America, trying to solicit their help. Friday, January 21st, 1966, New York postage, 25 cents. Sugar, 90 cents. That's $1.15. Letter received from C.C. Doctor of Bombay. He has gone back from his promise. He is not good. Better later than never. Mr. Bogart asked me to see him on Monday morning in his office. 866 United Nations Plaza. Larry Bogart is mentioned in more depth in Śrīla Prabhupāda Leelamrita Volume 2, Planting the Seed. I've got that book, or maybe I'll look it up for us, and we can get some more insights. Saturday, the 22nd of January, 1966. Saturday, January 22nd. Well, today is January 21st. Interesting. Salt, 15 cents. Bananas, 22 cents. That's 37 cents. Letter sent to Surya Kumar Joshi of AICC office for helping getting sanctioned. So also letter sent to Beni Bhushan Datta, if he can help in this matter. The cleaner sent by Nina came to doctor's apartment and cleaned it. I gave some cold drink, and he was glad. 7, this is the footnote. All Indian Congress Committee, the governing council of India's ruling Congress political party. Haribol. So thank you, everyone. We'll continue on reading this diary and have insights on Prabhupada's early days here in North America. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari, the bhajan by Śrīla Prabhupada. Yesterday, our production chief did show the bhajan being sung in New York, in the New York Temple. That was when I was there. So it was a packed place. It was filled. And then we'll have the reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the original unedited versions. We seem to enjoy that, these ones here. And in this way, we'll move forward progressively this year on our path back home, back to Godhead. I trust that Yashodanandana Prabhu is not too cold in Twain Harte, California. Haribol. Jaya Radha Madhava
Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Amaswa Paramahansa Paribhrajagacharya Sattara Smadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Navacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sam Khanda Radha Khanda Giridhar ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai की जाए जमुना माई की जाए गुरु द्वारका धाम की जाए स्वामी तो भक्तविंद की जाए ऑल ग्लोरी टू देयर स्मिल ऑल ग्लोरी टू देयर स्मिल थैंक यू वेरी मच
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya O my Lord Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya naram cheva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam mudirayat one should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As we do every week, this week we will read from a few selected verses from the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from Canto 1, Chapter 7, text number 6, 7, and 8. Now this, I don't know which edition here, but we will read the Sanskrit and the English. Anarto pasamam sakshad bhakti yogam madukshaje lokasya janato vidvams chakri sattvata sammitam. The material miseries of the living entity, which are superfluous to him, can be directly mitigated by the linking process of devotional service. But the mass of people do not know this, and therefore the learned Vyasadeva compiled this Vedic literature, which is in relation to the supreme truth. Text number 7. Yasyam ve shuryamananam Krishne paramapurushe bhaktirutpadyate pumsaha shoka moha bhayapaha. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Text number 8. Sasamitam Bhagavatim Kritva Nukramya Chatmajam Shukam Madhyapayam Asa Nivriti Niratam Munihi. The great sage Vyasadeva, after compiling the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and revising it, taught it to his own son, Sri Shukadev Goswami, who was already engaged in self-realization. Again, welcome everyone to this reading of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and we will be discussing today from Canto number 1, Chapter number 4, text number 13 and 14. All synonyms, translations, and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Tatsaravam nasamat chakshva prishtu yadya kinchana manye tvam vishaye vacham snata manyatra chandasat. Tat, that, saravam, all, na, unto us, samachakshva, clearly explain, prishtu, question, yadiha, herein, kinchana, all that, manye, we think, tvam, yourself, vishaye, in all subjects, vacham, meanings of words, snatam, fully acquainted, anyatra, except, chandasat, what is that?
Classes.
Portion of the Vedas. Translation. We know that you are expert in the meaning of all subjects except some portion of the Vedas, and as such you can clearly explain all answers for all questions that we have made herein unto you. Purport by His Divine Grace, Śrīla Prabhupāda. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like that of the Brahmins and the Paribrajakas. The Brahmins are meant for ministering some fruitive activities mentioned in the Vedas, but the Paribrajakacharyas, or the learned preachers, are meant for disseminating transcendental knowledge to one and all in the general way. As such, the Paribrajaka Acharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically in terms of accent and meter by the Brahmins who are meant for ministering Vedic rites. And for that reason, it should not be considered that the Brahmins are more important than the itinerary preachers. They are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. There is no difference also between the Vedic mantras and the same explained in the Puranas in Itihasa. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, it is mentioned in the Madhyandina Shruti that all of the Vedas, namely the Sama, Atharva, Rig, Yaju, Puranas, Itihasas, Upanishads, etc., are all emanations from the breathing of the Supreme Being. The only difference is that the Vedic mantras are mostly begun with Pranava Omkar, and it requires some training to practice the metric accent, without which the mantras are not successfully pronounced. Srila Sutta Goswami was a preacher of the first order, although he did not bother much about practicing the metric pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. But that does not mean Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam was of less importance than the Vedic mantras. On the other hand, it is the ripened fruit of all the Vedas, as it has been explained herein before. Besides that, the most perfect liberated soul, Srila Shukadeva Goswami, is absorbed in the studies of the Bhagavatam, although he is already a self-realized soul. Srila Sutta Goswami is following the footprints of the same liberated soul, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with systematic metric pronunciation, which depends more on the practice of the chanter than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Text number 14. Sutta uvacha dvapare samunu prapte tritiya yuga paryaye jataha parasharad yogi vasabhyam kalaya harehe. Sutta Goswami uvacha said, Dwapare, in the second millennium, Samanu Prapte, on the advent of, Tritiya, third, Yuga, millennium, Paryaye, in the place of, Jataha, was born, Parasharad, by Parashara, Yogi, the great sage, Vasabhyam, in the womb of the daughter of Vasu, Kalaya, in the plenary portion of, Arehe, of the personality of Godhead. Translation. Sutta Goswami said, when there was an overlapping of the second millennium in the third, at that time the great sage Vyasadeva was born by Parashara in the womb of Satyavati, the daughter of the Vasu. Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. There is a chronological order of the four millenniums, namely Satya, Dwapara, Treta, and Kali. But sometimes there is some overlapping of them. During the regime of Vaivashvata Manu, there was such overlapping in the 28th round of the four millenniums. And the third millennium appeared prior to the second. In that particular millennium, Lord Sri Krishna also descends, and on account of this, there was some particular alteration. The mother of the great sage was Satyavati, the daughter of the Vasu, fisherman, and the father was the great Parashara Muni. That is the history of Vyasadeva's birth. Every millennium is divided into 3 periods, and each period is called a Sandhya. Vyasadeva appeared in the 3rd Sandhya of that particular age. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge, from the Brihad Gautamiya Tantra. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at His lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashatyadeshatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto my Guru Maharaj, who is a disciple of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is always calm and joyful, and who bears the name Bhaktivedanta, from the Śrīla Prabhupāda Stotram by Anantaram Shastri. Bhagavad Vandanam Khadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataha. Worship of the Supreme Lord is naturally very sweet, just like milk is originally sweet. Just as milk becomes sweeter by adding a little sugar, in the same way, worship of the Supreme Lord becomes sweeter by first worshiping the bona fide Guru, from the Stotra Ratna Bhashya of Sri Vedanta Desika. Adadana Strinam Danter Idam Yachi Punaha Punaha Śrīmad Padam Bhoja Dhurisyam Janma Janmani. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Srimad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth, from the Sri Mukta Charita of Raghunath Das Goswami. Amsho Bhagavatu Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarvata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shat Karomishvam. I'm a tiny part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and I'm always and in every way His eternal servant. As I'm always hoping for His mercy and kindness, I for myself to His most dear servitor, my spiritual master, from the Archan Padati Guru Vandana. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. So here Prabhupada is explaining very important point about the position of the Brahmanas and the Paribrajaka Acharyas, or itinerary preachers. We see in the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, there are very deep explanation, very precise explanations of the position of such exalted personalities who sacrifice everything to enlighten the conditioned souls. And such a personality was Shukadeva Goswami, the speaker of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is recognized as a very special, exalted literature. And why is that? Because it is the direct manifestation of Lord Krishna. It is mentioned in the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Krishne Swadhamo Pagate Dharma Jnana Dibi Saha. So what is the position now that Lord Krishna has departed with his abode along with religion, knowledge, austerity? What is the position? This Bhagavatam has arisen to dissipate the darkness of ignorance of the age of Kali Yuga. It is a very special literature, and Śrīla Prabhupāda explains in the purport that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the direct manifestation of Lord Krishna. Krishna is directly present in the pages of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Not only that, but with the purport of Lord Krishna's pure devotee, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada, we get both the benefit of the direct association of Lord Krishna and the direct association of an exalted pure devotee of Krishna. Because one cannot approach Krishna without the mercy of the spiritual master, of the pure devotee. Sometimes there is a class of persons, a poor fund of knowledge, who think that their physicality, that their physical presence should be given more importance than the position of the Acharya. Now, it is a pious belief, but it is born out of misconception, faulty hearing. Prabhupada mentions also in the first canto of the Bhagavatam that one has to purify his eating, sleeping, mating, and defending, be situated in the proper principles of spiritual life, and then one can submissively hear the message coming from the Acharya. It is a very important point. Prabhupada, it is not simply that one can approach the Acharya, the bona fide guru, and demand that he gives the knowledge. One has to approach with an attitude of surrender and proper respect. Tad viddhi pranipatena pariprasnena sevaya upadikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. That one should render some service with proper attitude, with proper surrender. We had the personal experience of Śrīla Prabhupada in Honolulu at the temple. Devotees had assembled one evening, and one person came. He paid his obeisances to Śrīla Prabhupada. He had beard and hair. And Prabhupada asked this person, "Who are you?" And this person said, "Oh, I'm your disciple, Prabhupada." Prabhupada looked at him and says, "No, you're not my disciple." And the person was startled. He was stunned. And the person insisted, no, Prabhupada, you initiated me at such and such place, at such and such time. You gave me such and such name. Prabhupada says, that doesn't matter. You are not my disciple. And the person was totally shocked. He says, you are not disciple. Then Prabhupada pointed to Paramahamsa Swami and Guru Kripa Swami in the room. He says, you look at them. 16 rounds, following the principles, morning and evening program, shaven head, dhoti, tilak. That is disciple, not this nonsense, keeping beard and hair. Why you are doing that? And he kept arguing. Prabhupada was getting ready to drink his milk in the evening, and he put the cup sternly on his desk, and some of it spilled. Prabhupada said, I'm an old man. Let me drink my milk. You can go now. So the point is that in order to be recognized as a bona fide disciple, as a bona fide student and follower of Śrīla Prabhupada, one should follow the process. It is not simply a mechanical thing thinking, oh, I was initiated, or I'm such and such person. Well, it's very nice. Everybody is entitled to their pious belief, but we have to see what is the standard, what is the proper standard. And not only that, but even after that, that one has the proper dress and a proper attire in following, one has to reach the proper conclusion. And this is the important point. Prabhupada is making this point here. We see at the end of this purport, Prabhupada is explaining, Srila Sutta Goswami is following the footprints of the same liberated soul, and therefore his position is not the least less important because he was not expert in chanting Vedic mantras with systematic metric pronunciation, which depends more on the practice of the chanter than actual realization. Realization is more important than parrot-like chanting. Now, this is a very important because we see in India, there are many Brahmins born in Brahmin families who are very expert in pronouncing Vedic mantras, chanting Vedic samhitas, and different kinds of Vedic ceremonies. That is very nice. But one who engages in the preaching of the message of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is even in a more exalted position. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, our Lord Krishna explains that for one who delivers this message of Bhagavad Gita to everyone, he is very dear to me. Krishna explains that person is very dear to me. Which brings us to the current circumstances in our movement. There are many persons who will say, oh, we are preaching the message. Oh, really? You are preaching the message? That is nice. We're very appreciative of that. So what message are you preaching? Are you trying to emphasize yourself or emphasize Prabhupada? Are you trying to emphasize your own agenda or the agenda of Śrīla Prabhupada? If you are trying to emphasize Prabhupada, why are you changing his words? Why are you polluting his message? Why are you twisting his message? You cannot simultaneously be changing his books and claim that I'm following Prabhupada, because Prabhupada gave clear instruction. Do not change anything. But persons with motivation, with political agendas will change things, change the words of the Acharya to promote a false narrative. Now, this is very important. And I've discussed this before. In the traditional Vedic sampradayas, such as the Ramanuja Sampradaya, the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, and the Madhva Sampradaya, and also the Nimbarka Sampradaya, the Vallabha Sampradaya, you could not change the Sanskrit writing of the Acharya and go there and present, oh, I've changed, I've made it better, I've edited it. It will not be accepted. It will be rejected. There is an interesting story. When Śrīla Prabhupada was in Bombay, now called Mumbai, in 1970, the devotees had rented a very nice apartment on the 7th floor of a building called Akash Ganga. The building is actually very close to the ocean. It has beautiful views in a nice neighborhood. So Śrīla Prabhupada in the evening, he would take some milk, some warm milk. And those of you who have been to India, you know, if you're not careful, when you order the milk, they may put all kinds of things in there. Sliced almonds, sliced walnuts, saffron, some cream, some sugar, all different kinds of, it's like a full meal. But Prabhupada, who had diabetes, would just take warm milk without sugar. So Prabhupada's servant at that time, he brought the milk to Śrīla Prabhupada and had all of this foam and cream and sliced almonds and little pieces of saffron and so many different things. And Prabhupada looked at that and says, what is this? What have you brought me? Why so many different things are there? And a servant says, oh, Prabhupada, I'm just trying to make it nice. Prabhupada says, no. When the spiritual master give you an instruction, just follow the instruction. You don't need to do all of this. Just follow the instruction. There was another story in 1977 when Prabhupada requested a devotee to go from Vrindavan to Mathura to purchase some medication for the eye, some eye medication. He told him to go to a specific pharmacy to get a specific medication and pay a specific price. Prabhupada knew. So this devotee went to Mathura, went to the wrong pharmacy, got the wrong medication, and paid more price. When he brought it back to Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, what is this? What have you brought me? Why can't you just follow the instruction? And Prabhupada said, this is the problem with you Americans and Westerners. Always changing. Always changing. Just follow the instruction. And Prabhupada kept insisting, just follow the instruction. So this is a very important point. Why are we telling these stories? Prabhupada was trying to educate us. Just follow the instruction of the Acharya. Even if sometimes it seems to be difficult to understand with our Kali Yuga brains, the Acharya knows. Why? Because he's in direct contact with Krishna. We saw in 1976 in New York, when Prabhupada was answering the questions of a news reporter who asked Śrīla Prabhupada, well, when you nominate somebody for a specific function, how do you know how to do that? And then one of the devotees, a senior disciple, says, well, when we put somebody in a position, that means my intelligence. I'm paraphrasing here. He was explaining about the role of the intelligence. Prabhupada says, no. Says Krishna will tell him directly. The pure devotee is getting direct instruction from Krishna. Direct instruction. It is not speculation. It is not some nonsensical interpretation. It is direct instruction from Krishna. We see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the Antya Lila, chapter 5, where Prabhupada described when the spiritual master speaks, it is to be understood that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is speaking through him. So one has to be very, very careful in dealing with the Acharya. One should be respectful, and one should not speculate and interpret things, invent some meanings that are not there. This is quite important. We have personally experienced so many times when trying to discuss philosophical issues with certain type of devotees, that they will shy away from the argument or the point being made and engage in some nonsense interpretation. Some nonsense, crazy interpretation. Why was Prabhupada so many times in his room, especially in India? In India, it was very, very nice because we could approach Prabhupada in his room. He would sit behind his coffee table and he would speak to guests and dignitaries and very important persons. And we got to see how Śrīla Prabhupada reacted, how Śrīla Prabhupada behaved with all kinds of persons. And so many times, Prabhupada would put his hand on his right knee, sitting comfortably, and he would laugh. He'd say, just try to understand. Prabhupada knew that they were not understanding, that we were not understanding completely what he was saying. And he would often repeat that, just try to understand. Because it is the mission of the Acharya, the Paribrajak Acharya, who goes everywhere to enlighten people about their position. Just the other day, we were explaining how Krishnadas Kaviraj in the Chaitanya Charitamrita has summarized the whole Vaishnava philosophy in 6 words. 6 words. Very simple, not difficult to understand, not complicated. He says, Ekal Ishwar Krishna, that Lord Krishna is the Supreme Master, Ar Sabritya. All others are his servants. All living entities are his servant. This is the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is the message that Śrīla Prabhupāda has given. It is not complicated. It is not difficult to understand. And anybody can take up this process and make spiritual advancement. It's quite important that there is a section in this purport where Śrīla Prabhupada describes that according to Jiva Goswami, the texts of the Vedas, the Puranas and the Samhitas and the Itihasas are all from the breeding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. There's an interesting book that was given by Śrīla Prabhupada's spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, called Gaudiya Canto R. It is a book in 20 sections dealing with so many different verses for preaching. So many different categories about the spiritual master, Krishna, Lord Chaitanya, the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Vedas, so many detailed information. And it is described, for example, Evam ime sarva veda nirmitaha sakalpaha sarhasyaha sabrahmanaha sopanishatkataha sitihasaha samvakyataha sapuranam. This is from the Gopata Brahmana Purva 2.10. In this way, all the Vedas were manifested along with the Kalpas, Rahasyas, Brahmanas, Upanishad, Itihasas, Anuvakyatas, and the Puranas. It is also mentioned in the Atharva Veda 11.7.24, Richa Samani Chandansi, Puranam Yajusha Saha, Uchishtas Jagnire Sarve, Divi Deva Divi Stritaha. The Rig, Sama, Yajur, and Atharva became manifest from the Lord, along with the Puranas and all the Devas residing in the heavens. Now, this is quite significant. We see in the Madhyandina Shruti, Brihad Arakyanakya Upanishad 2.4.10, Asya Mahato Bhutasya Nisvasitam Etadyad Rig Vedo Yajur Vedaha Samavedo Atharva Girasa Itihasa Puranam Ityadina. O Maitreya, the Rig, Yajur, Sama, and Atharva Vedas, as well as the Itihasas and the Puranas, all manifest from the breathing of the Lord. Now, this is quite important because there is a class of philosophers in India, especially the Mayavadis, who think that only the Vedas are of primary importance, and the texts of the Vedas and the Puranas and the Ramayana and Mahabharata, this is less important. Now, we don't accept this theory. This is simply a nonsensical interpretation. Why? Because all of these literatures, according to Jiva Goswami, are coming from the manifested breeding of the personality of God in Narayana when the material world is created. When the creation is made, Lord Narayana, through the agency of Lord Brahma, creates the planets, the living entities, and the Vedas come about again. That's why the Vedas are called aparusheya. They're not created by any human being. They're directly from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whereas all these other literatures like the Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharata, Puranas, they're manifested by different created beings. But because this is all manifested originally from Krishna, it is all transcendental in the opinion of Jiva Goswami. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for that explanation of today's verses. And I think that Prabhupada is giving us some insight in his purport here about the difference between a learned preacher, what his purpose is, as opposed to the Brahmin who is learning how to pronounce correctly the Vedic shlokas and Vedic literature for as part of a position that he has in the community. The devotee is only interested in practicing Krishna consciousness as a means for becoming spiritually aware and becoming a bona fide disciple of his guru. The difference in the purport here, if we could go to that again, I just wanted to highlight that point. The difference between the Vedas and the Puranas is like of the Brahmins and the Paribrahmacharyas. The Brahmins are meant for ministering some fruit of sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, but the Paribrahmacharyas or learned preachers are meant for disseminating transcendental knowledge to one and all in a general way. That's basically each one of us. That's our responsibility, is to simply teach people the principle of chanting Hare Krishna. You can do that without having to be a great scholar. Teaching people who is God, Krishna, the Supreme Personality. Helping people understand how to live a disciplined life in terms of Krishna consciousness. No meat eating, no intoxications like that. As such, the Paribrahmacharyas are not always expert in pronouncing the Vedic mantras, which are practiced systematically in terms of accent and meter by the Brahmins, who are meant for ministering Vedic rites. Ministering Vedic rites, not for preaching. And for that reason, it should not be considered that the Brahmins are more important than the itinerary preachers, those that just go out and explain Krishna to others. Like we used to do in the early days, we'd go out on a truck, we'd drive, no specific destination, just head out on the road, and whoever we met, we would explain to them about Krishna. They are one and the same, they are one and different simultaneously because they are meant for the same end in different ways. And then down in the purport again, Prabhupada gives us a final point, which is very important. Śrīla Sutta Goswami was a preacher of the first order, although he did not bother much about practicing the metric pronunciation of the Vedic mantras. Yeah, just highlight that. See? So this is a guide for us. I mean, it's not that we should minimize learning these slokas or verses, but the real essence of this process is to share Krishna consciousness with others. And that is the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that Śrīla Prabhupāda taught us. The training of the disciple and their practice of these principles is the key of advancement in the development of Krishna consciousness. Becoming a bona fide disciple. This is something that's a goal that we should all strive for. And it's not an easy thing because the influence of the material world, the material mind, material association is all pervading. So one has to strictly discipline themselves like any kind of professional man has to discipline himself to achieve success in the material society. It takes a lot of focus and practice. So in the same way, all of us, we have to practice what we preach. So we've got Yashoda, maybe we've got a few people here with us. Janaspriya, Paranjana, a very nice lady from Dallas, Preet. We're going to ask them to speak. Is there any comments you'd like to make first, before moving forward.
Let these exalted souls speak so we can all be enlightened.
Thank you. Paranjana Prabhu, somewhere in California. Maybe you could make a few comments on today's verses and discussion. Let's see if he's there. Give him a chance to get to his mic. Jonas Priya in Hawaii. Haribol, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Hare
you near-
Krishna, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Please accept my humble obeisances. Yes, these are very important points, as always. That we cannot approach Krishna without the mercy of the Acharya. And why is this? Because we understand that the Acharya, he understands Krishna, and he's the only way that we could approach Krishna is through the mercy of the spiritual master with a right attitude, not with a challenge and attitude, with a humble attitude is very important. So if we follow these principles of Bhakti Yoga, then we're properly situated, and being properly situated gives us the understanding that the Acharya is simply telling us what to do and how to do it. So we don't need to add or subtract from the instructions of the Guru, because what he said is perfect. And we see that all of these people that start speculating, I have seen this practically, that so many so big devotees start creating their own twist to the philosophy and always eventually fall away, totally fall away. So it's so important to stay true to the instructions, and that includes not concocting anything, not inventing anything, not trying to think that we're better than the spiritual master. This is the problem. They think, Prabhupada says, a little knowledge is a big danger, and we've seen how many devotees, they learn Sanskrit and they start, some of them were saying, well, Prabhupada didn't traduce this properly. And Prabhupada got very, very angry at these people. Why? Because they think, because they have a little knowledge now, they know everything. So they don't understand that a pure devotee is the person that has, through many, many births, has applied himself 100%, and he's 100% purely following the instructions of Krishna and his Guru. So this is what Prabhupada taught us. He said, simply just follow what I say, don't concoct anything, don't change anything, and then the benefit will be there. Why? Because the purity is the most important. Just like we were talking about Prabhupada wanting his milk. He just wanted pure milk. And the devotees thought, oh no, I'll make it so nice. The Prabhupada is going to enjoy this, and he's going to say, wow, how do you make this? No, Prabhupada said, what is this? What you brought me this? Prabhupada also said, when Guru says, bring me a cup of water, you don't bring him a cup of milk, thinking, oh, well, the milk is more beneficial. No, we follow the instruction of the spiritual master. And if we could accomplish this, this is our success. We know that even though we might not be very expert in chanting mantras with the proper meter and all of that, it doesn't matter. Prabhupada enjoys so much. He used to enjoy listening to the devotees chant the Sanskrit incorrectly because they were trying. And this is very important, that we have to try to follow the best that we can without speculating, without changing. And this will bring the greatest benefit. And Prabhupada always used to say this phrase that we heard so much, just try to understand. So he knew that we wouldn't understand. We were saying, just try to understand. So we really need to try and force ourselves and try to understand. And Prabhupada makes it so easy. Prabhupada is such a genius on his writings that he does not create questions in his writings. He's giving answer after answer after answer. And that's what anything that we read from Prabhupada's books, if we ever had the chance to attend one of Prabhupada's classes, people would always have all these questions and say, oh, I'm going to ask this question. And Prabhupada will answer everybody's question in every class. So this is the purity of the pure devotee. He knows what's in everybody's heart. We don't know what's even in our heart. How can we know what's in somebody else's heart? That's why we have to follow the process that Prabhupada gave us, because it's proven we all became devotees through his preaching. So we need to keep on doing that, and this will be the only way that this movement will go purely ahead. If we keep concocting things, then in a couple generations will be a whole different movement, and this is already happening. So we're so fortunate that we're part of this group. We're trying to preserve Prabhupada's original knowledge as it is, because we know it's very effective. Hare Krishna.
Yes, it is actually. Self-realization is really the focal point of the disciple, and the strict adherence to Prabhupada's instructions to that person is his goal or her goal. It's not about being part of a show bottle situation, which is common in every organization. People want to get up and be recognized for their so-called service or work. But what we're looking at is the internal satisfaction of the Lord by our sincere service. Because I, dwelling, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, I, dwelling within the heart, destroy with the shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So the devotee personally does get realization by the practice of the process. How long does it take? Well, it could take a moment, or it could take many lifetimes to get some kind of sincere understanding of this philosophy by practice. Now, in our situation, all of us, Prabhupada would recommend, try to spend one life in this process, at least give one life. And if you can, now someone would say, well, that's a long time. You want me to do this for 50 years? Well, if you're looking at an eternal opportunity and you're incarcerated for life in this body, which is what it is, it's a life sentence of difficulty, then the rewards are far greater by practicing Krishna consciousness than by focusing on temporary material so-called success. And this is the business of a sincere, serious. I was listening to Shodanandana Prabhu to, again, this similar lecture that I've been hearing, where Prabhupada says you do not take a spiritual master as a matter of sort of a hobby or for personal, glorification. Oh, I've got a guru. You have to take the spiritual master up, the relationship with him as a serious student of truth. It's like you said about this Prabhu that came in the room when Prabhupada was there. Was it Hawaii, I believe? Oh, I'm your disciple. He had a beard on, and he had no neck beads and no serious attitude towards this process. Is he a disciple? Well, in his own mind he is. Prabhupada dismissed him. This is not some kind of show bottle business in this group that we have. We're not trying to please everyone all of the time. It's not going to happen. And in the situation that we're in, people that are with us and go and associate with these people from ISKCON and get confused by their association compared to us, they're also dangling in the dangerous ocean of confusion. Be careful. It's not that you can just do this or that and think it'll be all right. This whimsical behavior was what destroyed the ISKCON movement and its members, and it destroyed the Gaudiya Math. This is not what this is about. Yashodanandana Prabhu, please, you can further comment.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember there are many people that are leveling different nonsensical accusations against Prabhupada devotees, or what they call, in a pejorative way, the Ritviks. Now, we mentioned before, we don't consider ourselves Ritviks. We are Prabhupada disciple, in my case, just aspiring disciple, trying to follow his divine grace. There's a lot of nonsensical accusations that are leveled, that they're all divided, they're all trying to be gurus, they're all trying to do this, they're all trying to do that. It should be remembered that these people, before they can level any accusation, should look in their own backyards and take a very close look at their history, their behavior, their concoction. And we're not going to go in detail at this point in time, but at some point in the future, we will deal with this in a series of special events, because we've received many requests from many devotees to put out some clarification and a full discussion where people can really discuss this without fear of oppression, without fear of recrimination, of beating, banning, suing, all the nonsense stuff that goes on. And I'm going to leave it at that for now, but we are in the process of discussing how we're going to do this with devotees like Narasimha, Puranjan, our good friend in Hawaii, Janas Priya. There's a lot of devotees that will be participating in these kind of discussion, because there's a lot of issues that need clarification, because there's a lot of confusion out there with the internet. The internet is a great media for preaching, but it's very bad if somebody's going to commit offenses or misrepresent or lie or present lies about somebody else. Very dangerous. Hare Krishna.
Puranjana, I see your video's working. Is your audio working, or are you still having
Yeah. Can you hear me?
trouble with? Yeah, we can.
Yes.
Glories to
Okay.
Prabhupada.
All right. Well, this is the little one I'm working on now. Krishna with flute and a little bird on the flute. So anyway, I'm having fun with that. I just want to say very quickly, I put a video up of Bhakti Vikas Swami on my blog, and he's saying, how is it that the guru is as good as God, but most of them are falling? And it's just, the title itself is just contradiction. Anything that's as good as God will not be falling, just plain and simple. So it just shows how they're really struggling now to, maintain their idea, that he's as good as God, but he's falling. It doesn't work. But I wanted to, what I've been meditating on recently a little bit is how pure devotees operate in the material world, but they're not affected by the material world, and how we eventually come to that platform ourselves. We have to be operating in the material world, but not be, affected by it. So this is a nice canto 4, chapter 30, text 18, where Krishna is blessing the prachetas, that they will be in the world, but they will not be affected by the world. So canto 4, chapter 30, text 18. Thereafter, you will develop unadulterated devotional service unto me and be freed from all material contamination. At that time, being completely unattached to material enjoyment in the so-called heavenly planets, as well as in hellish planets, you will return home back to Godhead. Purport. By the grace of the Lord, the prachetas were given special facilities Although they could live millions of years to enjoy material facilities, they would still not be deviated from the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Being thus fully engaged, the participants would be completely freed from all material attachment. Material attachment is very strong. During one lifetime, a materialist engages in acquiring land, money, friends, society, friendship, love, and so on. He also wants to enjoy the heavenly planets after the annihilation of the body. If one is engaged in devotional service, however, he becomes unattached to all kinds of material enjoyment and suffering. In the material world, those who are elevated to the higher planetary systems are supposed to enjoy all material facilities, whereas those degraded to lower planetary systems are supposed to live in hellish condition. A devotee, however, is transcendental to both heavenly and hellish conditions. According to Bhagavad Gita 14:26, a devotee's position is described this way. One who engages in full devotional service, who does not fall down in any circumstance, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. A devotee is always situated on the Brahman platform. It has nothing to do with material happiness or distress. When one is strongly fixed in devotional service and freed from all material attachment, uncontaminated by the material modes of nature, he becomes fit to return home back to Godhead. Although by special blessing the partakers would enjoy material facilities for millions of years, they would not be attached to them. Thus, at the end of their material enjoyment, they would be promoted to the spiritual world and return to Godhead. The word Bhakva Gunasaya has special significance. It means that by devotional service, one is able to give up the influence of the three modes of material nature. As long as one is influenced by the modes of material nature, he cannot return to Godhead. It is clearly explained that all planets in the material world, beginning from Brahmaloka down to the hellish planets, are unfit places for a devotee. Padam padam yavipadam natesham, a place where there is danger at every step, is certainly not a comfortable place. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita, from the highest planet in the material world down to the lowest, all are places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains my abode, or son of Kunti, never takes birth again. Thus there is no profit, even if one is promoted to the highest planet in the material universe, Brahmaloka. However, if one is somehow or other promoted to the abode of the Lord, he never returns to the material world. So that's our goal, to become like the Prachetas, to be blessed by Krishna. So we get this blessing, special mercy. And we will be in this world, but we won't be part of this world. Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Padam padam navipadam natesham. And we can see these days there's a lot of danger everywhere for everyone. It's not that danger is partial to one person and not to another. Look at these wars, Yashodanandana Prabhu. These poor people in certain parts of the world get up every day with no hope of survival and live in constant fear that they may be blown up by some kind of horrific modern day technological device. Now they blow people up with using these small drones. So they're so specific. It's like a Brahmastra in a sense, you know, it goes strictly to the target or the building. So if you're not following along with the global order, the World Economic Forum, and these people like Klaus and these other so-called masterminds of the demonic society that we're evolving in, they just kill you. They make something up and then they indoctrinate you into it. They call it the Great Reset. We just vaccinate everybody. infect them with this or that, and then indoctrinate them into telling everyone this is the right way to live. It's funny, Yashoda Prabhu, that even our God brothers became infected with this garbage because they don't hear from Prabhupada. They don't listen to his preaching. They're not connected into the transcendental relationship that a disciple can have with their guru, because they're not focused on that business, the transcendental science of preparing for leaving this body at the time of death, which can come at any moment. Yashoda, please, if you could further comment.
This is very important. There was a lecture where Prabhupada was explaining that if you build a very nice skyscraper in this human form of life, but if you do not know that in your next life you may become a cockroach in that same building, what is the accomplishment? What have you gained? But most people are not even aware. They do not even know what is the next life. What will happen in the next life? Just like we had this discussion with some devotees in Japan recently, and we were discussing this topic about the body, the soul, and what happens at the time of death. And Prabhupada explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Karanam guna sangasya sadasad yoni janmasu. The reason that we see so many different varieties of life is because of association with the modes of material nature, especially the mode of passion and the mode of ignorance. And one will get a corresponding karmic reaction. This is very important, and most people do not understand this. They do not comprehend that simply by engaging in killing animals, all different kinds of vikarma, of bad karma is generated. And in the next life, one will achieve a very inauspicious result. But to stop that, one can engage, take shelter of Krishna, under the direction and supervision of the pure devotee acharya. Very important point. Hare Krishna.
Haribo, and thank you everyone for your participation today in our program of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and readings and discussions. And I wanted to comment just before we leave your association that we do have a YouTube channel called Hare Krishna Society. And on that channel, we have over 200 videos of our classes and discussions. So you have from the readings of the three scriptures, Bhagavad Gita as it is, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. So they're divided into three categories. And you can go and hear the classes and hear all the wonderful comments that we've been getting over the last year and moving on towards a year and a half of production. So like that. And then, of course, you can just go straight to our website. It's being developed. We have links there for the Prabhupada lectures that you can listen to on a regular basis. I know all of us here in this group do listen to the lectures and get so much insight from that through our own personal discipline, and then constantly engage in explaining this philosophy to others, because that's the business of a preacher. This is not some kind of intellectual academic program for going back to Godhead, and it doesn't discriminate between men, women, children, color, race, any kind of material designation. This is something which is purely transcendental, as given by Lord Chaitanya for the benefit of the human society. And we're all blessed to be a part of this wonderful opportunity that Śrīla Prabhupāda has given to us when he came from India back in 1965 and started this wonderful mission of Lord Chaitanya, and the problems that have come about since his departure in 77 are all part of his pastimes. And these are for learning for all of us how to become fixed up, bona fide disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Let's move forward with the kirtan and chant along with Prabhupada in his early days and enjoy the rest of your day. Hari Bol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vyasadeva Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vyasadeva Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Vyasadeva Gaur-bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Where's Aparkrita?
Hare Krishna,
Where
Hare Bol.
Aparkrita? Aparkrita, comment ça va, le japa du midi, monsieur?
Bien, ça va bien.
Hare
Comme ça,
Krishna.
j'ai eu ton commentaire dernièrement. OK?
Oh, c'est bien beau, c'est bien beau. We're discussing how Aparkrita puts on YouTube a series of videos, brief videos called Japa du Midi. That means Japa at noontime. It's in French, but it's very interesting. Anybody can follow. It's at 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Western Time, 12 o'clock noon Eastern Time in Canada. Anybody can participate on YouTube. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Merci,
Respectful obeisances to everybody. We will see you again on Wednesday. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.